Alright, welcome to Speedy Tutorials. We're going to get you set up working with a very simple hammer, mesh, and Blender just to get you acquainted with some of the tools of Blender and get it set up for Unity. Blender is a very extensive, large program available on their sites and on Steam. Once you have it downloaded, go and open it up. We are going to get this started going quick. Alright, close that scene. We don't need that. Go ahead and go to Edit Preferences. I want to talk about this real quick. In here, there's a bunch of settings. If there's anything that does not seem right, if I did anything that's different than the way yours behaves, look in here for settings pertaining to it. For example, my spacebar does search, my select is with my left mouse button, etc. Alright, I'm going to turn on keys so you can see what I'm pressing as I go. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to click this light right here. We don't want lights, we don't want a camera. Select this other object, X, delete, gone. You can see this updating with the current objects in the scene. This is going to be a hammer, but I don't want this cube yet, so we're going to get rid of it. I'm going to use the middle mouse button to pivot my camera around and look around, okay? Shift A to add something. By something, it could be anything of these things. We're going to add a plane. I'm going to press Tab, go to Edit Mode. I'm going to press 7 to get a top-down orthographic view. Alright, pressing keypad numbers will get you different views. I want 7. Alright, double A to get rid of, to deselect all, and A to select all. I want these two vertices. It's selected up here as vertices mode. Shift click to select. You can go into edge and face mode as well. That's where I'm changing those. Alright, I'm going to select these two vertices right here. You can easily do it with a line select. For now, I'll just use vertices. I'm going to select all, scale Y, 0.2. That should be good. So these two vertices, I'm going to extend out with YE and then X axis. Press E to extrude and X to go along the X axis. Hold Control to get a snap to the grid. I'm going to get somewhere about there. Alright, I'm going to select this vertice. Actually, I'm going to go into edge mode, select that vertice, or that edge and this edge, right click, subdivide. Alright, this is going to split it right in half. That's what I want. I'm going to grab this vertice, extrude with E, and go along the Y axis up a little bit. Press G to move that around wherever you feel like, R to rotate it, and S to scale. This is going to be like the pointy part of the hammer, okay? I want this nice and pointy, so I'm going to put that right there. Alright, I'm going to go into edge mode, select this edge. I'm going to right click, subdivide. Now down here on the bottom left, you're going to see the tool settings. Sorry, my stuff is kind of in the way, but number of cuts, I'm going to change it to 3. You can see it splitting up here. Alright, I'm going to move this to be around here. I'm just pressing and clicking G to move things around. Just trying to shaping that pointy part of it. Something like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the other side, extrude Y out, make it smaller. G, Y, somewhere right there. Extrude Y a little bit, scale it up. Extrude Y again. Somewhere right there. Sounds good. There's a simple shape. Let's grab it all. Extrude it along Z, 0.15. Yeah, that looks good. Just kind of guesstimate the depth of your object there. Alright, so normally there's a split here to get nails out, right? So we're going to press Control R. This adds a loop slice? Not sure what it's called, but it splits an entire loop of faces in half. If you increment scroll wheel, you can change how many you get. Alright, I would like... That should work actually. Let's do that. Now you also have the option to move it around. I don't need to, so I'm going to press Escape. I'm going to go into face mode. I'm going to get rid of these bottom faces, okay? I don't want them. That was a little dramatic. Let's only get rid of the faces. There we go. Alright, let's grab this, all these edges right here, and I'm going to get rid of those. I don't want them. Now I need to fill in these holes now. So I'm going to go into vertice mode. I'm going to select the vertices I want to fill in. Press F to fill. Alright, so I'm going to fill in all these little gaps. I will say if there's anything weird or tools you don't understand about Blender, Google them. There's a lot of helpful people out there with a lot of good tutorials and about how the tools work and whatnot. So don't rely on this video solely to learn everything about Blender, because there's a lot to it. I'm going to select these two faces right here. I'm actually going to change my reference point to individual origins, and this will scale them per origin instead of the average, okay? Make these nice and pointy. And now I may actually switch it back to medium point and scale them in. I'm not sure if that's how a hammer looks, but we'll go with it for now. Looks kind of cool. Alright, so there's our hammer. Now, there's normally a wood part, right? And this is a little too blocky for my taste. So we're going to go into vertex mode. We're going to make this smaller. Somewhere right about there. And same with this back end. Box, select with B and click and drag. Make that a little bit smaller. Now, it normally is bigger in this axis, just by a little bit. And this axis. That's relatively okay. Now, there is also, it's not perfectly blocky, right? Hammers aren't normally this blocky. So let's grab these edges here on the corners. Control B to bevel. Use scroll wheel to increment if you want to, but I think one's just fine for our purposes. Same with this part up here, the head. Select these corners and give them a Control B for bevel. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. Let's actually select. Let's go into face select and select these three faces. Nope, don't like that either. Let's try this. Let's do the ring select. Sometimes you gotta experiment with what faces you do what to. And I think that is what we're gonna want. Now, it still looks a little polygonal, so we're gonna go up to Object, Shade Smooth. Now, that is what we want, but not entirely, right? It looks a little funky. Let's go over to this little red icon for modifiers, add an edge split. Now, this has a split angle. Anything below the angle will be smooth. Anything above it will be sharp. So as an effect, we have like some sharp edges and some smooth ones, which I think is how we're gonna want this to look. I like it. Now let's go back to edit mode. We're gonna need to get wood texture on this bottom part, right? So we're gonna need to go over to materials on the right here, add a new one, add another slot, add another new one. I want you to press Z, go to wireframe, box select with faces selected, the wood part, select material to, and assign. Press Z, go into look dev. Change the color, the base color right here, to something slightly different. We'll say blue. And we see it's slightly different now. Okay. Now I think this part up here is actually a little bit much, so I'm going to do a quick edit to that. G and X. That's better. Oh yeah, cute little hammer. I like it. Alright, let's unwrap it so we can actually put a wood texture. To put textures on objects, you have to unwrap it, which means you're telling the rendering engine where exactly the texture should go on the 3D model. So split open a new plane with the corners, go over the top right, left here rather, go to UV Image Editor. UV Editor. Alright, go into edit mode. Now, if you select all, you can see that there is this. Well, these three faces correlate to something on here, and we don't know what it is. It doesn't help us. Press U, unwrap. Come on. Well, I guess that is what it thinks that we should do. I don't agree. This top part, this middle part, we don't need to unwrap because we're not going to have texture on it. We need this bottom part. That's what we're going to care about. Go into wireframe mode, deselect everything, select these bottom ones. Oh, let's go into face mode. That'll help. There we go. Unwrap. There we go. That's what I was expecting. Look at this mess. Doesn't help us. How are we supposed to lay out an image on that? Alright, here's what we're going to do. Look dev again. I want to select these corner faces here. Go Control E. This is going to mark them as seams. And now highlight all. Well, actually, go over, deselect. Select the second material that is going to be the wood and click select. That'll select only the pieces that are that. Unwrap again. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now, I don't like that these are kind of like crossways. I'd rather them be straight up and down, like these ones. So we're going to deselect everything. I'm going to go ahead and go into region select over here. Select these ones with box select, move them over here. And now I'm going to deselect, select all of these, and rotate our somewhere pretty close to straight. It doesn't matter a whole lot. We'll kind of work with it a little bit more later. And there's a lot of, unwrapping it, UV wrapping itself is kind of an art form. So this is something you just have to kind of get used to and work with. This isn't the best, but it'll do for our purposes. Let's rename this over here. Double click, hammer. The name of the materials and the modifiers do not matter. Just the name of the object and the mesh. Alright, Now that's all set up. See how it looks actually in the engine. Save as. I'm gonna put it in one of my just games I work on. You can name whatever you want as long as it ends in .blend. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna open up Unity, whatever project you have it in, and there it is. Okay. Pull it into the scene. You see it's just normal gray. We're gonna need some materials. Alright, so let's go ahead and start new. I had those from a couple tests I was doing. Alright, so create new material, hammer wood, and hammer metal, not wood. Control D duplicates things in Unity. Assign this to the metal part, assign this to the wood part. Click it. You see them on the left here, or on the right here now. Alright, the wood. We need a wood texture. Go to images, make sure you're not grabbing anything that's copyrighted. Go and save it to wherever you feel would be useful. As long as it's useful to make sure they're seamless. But again, it depends on the project, depends how you want it to look. Alright, now that's in here, I'm going to verify it's in here. Textures, there it is, cool. Select it, search for it, there it is. Alright, how's that look? It's kind of fuzzy. Let's increment how many times we wrap ourselves with this image. That's a little better. Maybe we want to go up to 3 though. Oh yeah, 3 is much better. Okay, now it's a little too shiny. Let's turn down that smoothness. Because it's wood, right? Okay, that metal part, let's make it fully metal. Okay, it's nice and shiny already. I kind of like it. Somewhere in there. You just kind of fine tune it for your needs. Nice, brilliant glow. The reason why it's glowing is because I have a post-processing thing going on. So if yours looks different, it's not a huge deal. That's just why. Alright, there's a hammer. So that's how we got ourselves a nice little hammer. There's a lot of tools in Blender. If you have any questions, concerns, there is a ton of tutorials and forums out there about how to do certain things. It's going to be a learning process. There's a learning curve. If you have any questions, just hit me up. I'll answer the best I can. I'm still learning myself. And yeah, that's how we get an object into Unity and make it all textured up. See you guys later.